What's shaking, cats and kittens? Rob Lee here for this month's presenting sponsor, Night Owl Gallery. Night Owl Gallery is an intimate, artist-run exhibition space showcasing the original paintings and fine art prints of Beth Ann Wilson. Also, it features curated goods from local artists and craftsmen. You'll be sure to find one-of-a-kind gifts, handcrafted jewelry, home decor items, along with a few vintage treasures. Located in the rear of 248 South Conklin Street in Highlandtown, across from the Sally O's, Night Owl Gallery is a unique space that brings together Wilson's love of the arts, community, and culture. Additionally, Night Owl Gallery hosts an array of arts and crafts workshops throughout the year and participates in community events, many of which are free and open to the public. So in this ever-changing world, safety is their priority. So feel free to join them and hit them up online at www.nightowl.gallery. Tell them Rob Lee sent you. Welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and my next guest is the owner of the Charm City Skatepark, a venue for skateboarders, inline skaters, and BMX bikers offering skating and events. We have Jason Chapman on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for hopping on. This is our reattempt. This is months in the making, so I'm glad we were able to get it done.
Is this our third time trying?
This is our third time trying. Yeah. So I think this one's going to work.
So yeah, I guess the third time is literally a charm.
Yes. Charm City Skatepark.
That's right.
So how'd you get into skateboarding?
That is a long story. When I was a kid, my brother was in the Navy, and he was kind of like my hero. And at Navy, skateboarding by way of Navy, I get it, it's weird. But I saw Top Gun around the same time, and I was like, oh shit, jets, those things are sick. So I wanted to fly planes real bad. So I went into this thing called Sea Cadets, and it's the equivalent of like the ROTC, but it's a little more heavy duty because we actually drilled with like the reservists, the Navy reservists at Fort McHenry. Yeah. So I would be at the Navy Reserve Yard on the weekends doing drill, and I was testing like really well for planes. That was like the whole field that I was going into. And they're like, okay, so your next test is your eyesight. So we want to test your eyesight. And it turns out I'm colorblind. You can't fly a jet if you're colorblind back then. I don't know if it's changed because they have all kinds of, you can get corrective surgery, and they have glasses and contacts to handle color blindness at this point. But back then it wasn't a thing. So I was like, later, and I quit like that day. And that, like the exact day that I quit that, I saw a bunch of people skateboarding in my neighborhood. And I was like, oh shit. Like they had a jump ramp out. So they were like jumping the jump ramp, getting air, and and I was like, all right, well, I guess I can't do it with a plane. I guess I'll do it with a skateboard.
Right.
And that's that is literally exactly how it went. And then I just never stopped skateboarding.
So that's kind of the thing. It's like taking something that it didn't quite work out in the way maybe you were intending. It's like, my cause is somewhere else. So, and speaking on maybe the mission, right? The mission of Charm City Skatepark. So I gave that 1,000-foot view of kind of what the venue is about and what the venue does. But if you wanted to like run it by someone, what is the mission of the skate park?
Wow. Okay, so I started actually as a shop. Mm-hmm. And I'd say the mission of the skate park is the same as the shop. We always just did what needed to be done for Baltimore. So when we were a shop, we had like a team, and we always promoted Baltimore and stuff. I love Baltimore. I had the chance to move to California and stuff, and I didn't. I chose to stay in Baltimore because I've been down south, I've been up north, I've been all over, been the East Coast, West, all over the East Coast, all over the West Coast. I have a lot of love for a lot of cities, but nothing is like Baltimore. And I always wanted to stay here and promote skateboarding, be a part of skateboarding here, but promote it as much as we could. but we've always just been like filling needs. So at first it was like, we didn't have a good shop. So we started and, did the best shop that we could. And then we didn't have a place to go. So we were a shop and we built a ramp in our basement of the store. My very first one was in the backyard of the shop. Then we moved stores and had a real nice one in the basement that people still talk about. That ramp was amazing. And then I went to a bunch of meetings with the city to try to get parks built and stuff, and they just weren't about it at that point.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll do it myself. I'll just build a skate park. So I hooked up with one of my longtime buddies, Luke Rice, and we built the Charm City Skatepark.
So in essence, providing something, like you said, providing what the city needs will have you, and having that venue and that space, because my understanding and looking over some of the stuff around skateboarding and all that, cops hassle people and things cannot be, things aren't always the most inviting things. So providing the venue that is cool about skating, about skateboarders and all, that's something that the city needs and has grown.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, even the public outdoor parks, they're awesome and they're cool and they definitely serve their purpose, but we do something totally different. We cater to every aspect of skateboarding. So we have lessons. We can outfit you with a board and make sure it's the right one for you. We actually build boards now, like from scratch. And we have a heat transfer machine, like one of the only ones in the country, actually. So we're making boards for people now too, other brands and other shops, and just, it's always about filling the need. Like during the pandemic, it was impossible for people to get skateboards, but since I've been doing this for a really long time, I deal with like hundreds of vendors and manufacturers and stuff. Yeah. So we always had a line on where to get the skateboards, and I was helping other shops up and down the East Coast. So yeah, it was just natural progression to like get this machine and go all the way, like whole hardcore manufacturers. So we do that now too. And it's just always about filling the need, like keeping skateboarding going, keeping it thriving, pushing it, and other things too. I mean, we try to take care of the BMX scene, and we always let we have a lot of scooter kids that come to the park, and we actually build ramps for people too. So we've been building a boatload of ramps up and down the East Coast as well.
I've seen some of the clips on the Instagram, and I was like, oh wow, they're building out ramps and all. I was like, this is something. And so we may have to talk a little bit off mic about, like you said, building skateboards. That's the thing. I mean, I am a 6'4", 300-pound man, so I need a board that can support my size. So we'll talk off mic about that, I think.
Yeah, well, that's not. I mean, honestly, so that's what we do, right? So yeah. I get a lot of people that come in and they have equipment that's all wrong, or like cookie cutter mall stuff, or something like that. There's so many different options and choices to get you, somebody of your stature, the perfect board to fit you. Yeah, it's like what we do. It's easy for us. We can, as soon as you walk in, we know exactly what to get you.
Like, yep, that's what he needs. He needs like a full tree with wheels on it. We got it. Let's go.
Yeah, a full tree. No, I mean, there is the perfect board out there for you. Absolutely. And everybody. But yeah, I get you totally. Like, no, it's cool, man. It's awesome to keep people enjoying something longer because they have the right stuff. Mm-hmm. Then as people get frustrated with it because they're trying to use wrong equipment. Like a lot of times when kids come in, so we do lessons, and I had to start offering we have 3 different options. We had to start offering not just a lesson, but a lesson with a board as a package, because so many kids kept coming in with Walmart boards. Yeah. And I'm like, we can't teach you on that. And I can give you a rental to use in the meantime, but it's not yours and it's not tailored to you. So when you go out and you get back your Walmart board, it's going to suck. You're just going to get bummed. And I want kids to keep skating and really enjoy it and find the awesome, like piece or for me, it's everything: livelihood, outlet, expression of outlet for my expression, and it's pretty much everything to me. But I wanted a kid to be able to have just a piece of that too. So we have a lesson where you get a board with it too, and we totally 100% outfit it to the child, or person, because we teach a lot of older people too, exactly what they need so they can enjoy it to the most, to the utmost.
Yeah, and I think enjoying it, and it's a safety element there. It's an enjoyment. It's a continuing kind of thing. There's a phenomenon in what I do in this podcast space called pod stopping, where people will just get frustrated. I'm not getting the downloads I need. My mic sounds crappy. The sound quality is not there, and they just get rid of it. And I think the same idea is there. There are people that are just putting out, oh, this is what you need, or kind of that Walmart skateboard scenario you're describing, and it's not really what they need for either their voice, or it's not configured right. It's not set up. You're not giving someone that walkthrough as to how to properly use this thing that you're interested in using. I'll ask this, since you touched on the Walmart skateboards. That was one of my first skateboards. It wasn't Walmart. It was this is super old, but it was maybe super like Dick's Sporting Goods or something. But it was back in the day, the early 90s. But I remember when I was my early 20s, I was working for the Orioles, and I wanted something that was comfortable as a shoe. I was wearing Vans all the time, so I want to get your estimation on what your favorite skateboard shoe is. There's shoes specific to it, right? So what's your favorite?
Yeah. Oh man,
it's a loaded question, probably.
No, it's so tough because the landscape has changed so much over the last few years in particular. I have a very particular one that I enjoy the most, but I think they're half out of business.
Fair.
And yeah, so I love Supra shoes. They started out as skateboarder owned, and it was Supra and Crew clothing were the same company, and they blew up super quick. And you remember Justin Bieber wearing those his Supras up to his thighs or whatever, but they blew up in a fashion market too, huge. Mm-hmm. So hype kids were all about them, and they got bought by some company in Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
So now it's called Super Tokyo, but I think they only sell to Tokyo now. And we used to sell a lot of Supras back when they had a traditional reps and a West Coast in-house sales and stuff. But I don't think they have them anymore. And we used to follow me and this kid Taryn that rides for me. He's an amazing skateboarder. His name is Tough Johnny on Instagram. He is amazing. He likes them just as much as I do. And he would always hashtag, is it Tokyo Super or Super Tokyo? But I think that's done now too. So I don't even know where to get them. I still have 6 pairs that I hold on to just to try to keep it alive. I don't know what I'm going to do after it. But I'd say the best legit shoe that's still around, that's not going anywhere, it would be S Skateboarding, which is spelled ES. They've always been a part of Emerica. So Etnies, S, and Emerica are all the same company. And they have G2 insoles, and they have all these they put a lot of technology into their shoe.
Yeah.
A lot of technology into their shoe. So those are going to be way more comfortable, last longer, feel better, be better for you. So you don't have to go see a foot doctor or whatever, because we do a lot of damage to our feet skateboarding. Yeah. But if you have the right shoes, you're going to be okay. Now, Vans are super popular these days, but they could give a hoot. They could give a shit if you're healthy or not. They don't care. Vans is owned by the VF Corp. It's just a big Vanity Fair. It's just a big corporation, and they don't care. Versus somebody like S, they actually care. They're skateboarders and they have a big testing facility and they want to make sure that the shoes work the best that they can. So yeah, like I'd say S is the best shoe right now. Definitely made by skateboarders for skateboarders, and they really care if you get hurt. They don't want you to get hurt. They want you to keep skating.
That's a quality control thing, and you're right. Like from my vantage point and seeing a little bit about Vans, I remember there was this like relatively popular song like in 2005, 2006, and it was just a song called Vans, and it was just kind of these like LA hype guys up there doing their thing, and it's just an ad for the song. And it's kind of the same thing that happened a few years prior to that with that Nelly song Air Force Ones. As soon as the product is the content of a popular song, or it's had that crossover appeal, then the quality seems to go down, and it's like not there. It's like you've transitioned from being something that's for an athlete theoretically to something that's more fashion oriented, and the quality isn't there for what it was intended to be.
Exactly. So yeah, when Steve Van Dorn owned Vans, I actually had the pleasure of speaking with him a few times. He was a really cool dude. And when he owned Vans, he cared about making a shoe that like looked good, but had as much grip as possible. Like that was his deal, was grip. So when you sacrifice, like more of like a thicker sole, we have cup sole and like a Van sole. Cup sole is more of like a basketball shoe. A lot of companies now, skate shoes, not Vans, but a lot of other skate shoes, use a thinner cup sole so that it has the same feel as like a waffle sole like Vans. Like a vulcanized sole like Vans do, but it is a little more sturdy. It lasts a little longer, and that's the main complaint about Vans is they don't last. But you're right. Like as soon as Steve Van Dorn sold the company to Vanity Fair, that's when the quality went down. And I think they just, from what I understand, could be wrong, but from what I understand, is that the marketing plan was to just put it with hype beasts like. Give it to a bunch of rappers, give it to a bunch of different people who would be influential in the music industry to cross over a bit, which worked, obviously, right? So like everybody wears Vans now. To cross over a bit so they had like complete just like market dominance. They were just trying to like get it out there as much as possible, expand into new markets and stuff, which they did, and it worked, and people wear Vans all the time.
Yeah, because you're making it for a different audience now too. It's like
exactly, and that's why they don't. So if they can sell 1 million units without caring whether they hurt the skateboarders' feet because they're not selling them to skateboarders anymore,
Right.
So I mean, it's cool. I always like to see success on any level, and Vanity Fair isn't that bad of a company as far as like corporate companies go. I would say the opposite is that Nike has a lot of skateboarder footwear market share, and that's bad on so many levels. They do use Uyghurs to make them. That's real bad. They got in trouble for doing that. I don't know if they changed anything about that. That's Chinese slaves that they use, and that is budged up. Like
it's not great.
Super bad. Yeah, they got caught doing that, and it was on HBO and on John Oliver's show, and a couple other news outlets have broadcast it. So no, it's not like just BS that's floating around. But yeah, that's crazy. So I don't get that behind them because of that. And also the way they market to, it's really hard for skate shops to sell them, and then you go to like Kohl's or something, and they'll have the same shoe that they would charge a skate shop like $50 to get. Yeah. And they sell them for like 30 at Kohl's. So that was
my hookup. I'll go to Kohl's, and because you're right.
Man.
During those years when I worked for the Orioles, I was going through maybe 2 pair during the season, and it was only like, 80 games. I'm only working the home games. So it's like, this is a 40 game pair of sneakers that I'm blowing through, but I'm not sweating it because they're like $35, and it's fine as long as they were black and they were relatively comfortable, because that cement, the concourse and all in the park, it starts to make the dogs bark a little bit.
Exactly. And if you're getting that, and that's the problem. Like, so those shoes that they're selling at Kohl's retail for $35, they're selling wholesale to skate shops for like $55. Right. And then the skate shop has to sell it for like $85 to try to make a buck and stay around. And that's where the main problem. I mean, no, you know what? That's where the secondary problem was. The main problem is how the shoes are manufactured, which is, that's terrible. But yeah, and it's crazy because skateboarders are, we have two camps. Yeah. One is like a hype beast, and they don't give a shit where they get their stuff from or where it's made or, where it's coming from. A lot of them don't even know, like, Supreme and Vans are the same company. A lot of people don't even know that. It's owned by Vanity Fair. So it'll be like, I hear people all the time that come in the shop. They'll be like, man, Supreme's whack, but Vans is so tight. And I'm like, same thing, dude. You don't even know. Or so you have people like that, the hypebeasts, that they don't care. They buy whatever's trendy. And that's not really my customer. But then you have people who care where things are made and care where things are manufactured and the actual quality of it. Maybe not the whatever name slapped on the side of it, but the actual quality of the product. Those are more of my customers. We get a lot of people who care where things are made and stuff. And it's cool. And I can't help myself. I'm always like, always trying to share the knowledge and let people know where stuff's made and how it comes to be. And when I do.
But that makes sense, and it aligns with what I think Baltimore is about. We're authentic here, and you're like, look, here's the reality. It's like you're here, and I'm in business to do so on, but really I want you to be informed too, make an informed decision, and that adds trust. I mean, if you're being really honest about it, I think it's an element of trust, and that's the thing. Yeah.
That's what. Look. You hit it right on the head when you said Baltimore is authentic. You are so right. Like, there's this. I have the best. There was a bank teller. She was so rad. She was from Nigeria. Super rad. And I'd talk to her all the time whenever I get in there. And I really loved chatting her up. She was amazing. And she would be like, I'm like, so how do you like Baltimore? And she's like, it's amazing, except don't ask somebody how they're doing. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, they'll fucking tell you exactly how it's not like just a pleasantry here. It's like, they're like, oh, how am I doing? I'll tell you how I'm doing. Like, everybody from Baltimore is real as fuck, dude. They just don't care. It's just amazing. I love it. There's a meme that is like, it's a dude, it's a girl. She has a flat tire. And on the top, it says West Coast. And these dudes are looking at her, and they're like, oh, bummer that happened to you. Man, it sucks you got a flat. And then it says East Coast on the bottom. And the dude's changing the tire for her. But he's like giving her shit. He's like, you shouldn't have ran over that shit, But he's changing the tire for her, We're real as fuck. We'll make it happen, but. Yeah, I don't know. I just love it. It's quintessential, like Baltimore.
Absolutely. So I got two more questions before we wrap up and get into those shameless plugs, because I like people to have, an opportunity to plug their site, their business, all of that good stuff. But so this is a trick related question, because I was curious about this. In your opinion, what is one of the easier tricks for someone to land, and what's one of the hardest tricks? Like, someone's like, hey, I'm going to, do a 1080 or something. That seems pretty hard. So in your opinion, what's the easiest trick to land, and what are some of the harder ones to land?
Okay. So when I teach lessons, I don't even teach tricks. We get into that a little bit, but what we teach is control.
Okay.
So control is like awesome. I was skating like 30, 35 years or something. I don't know, a long time now. And I don't even have complete board control at all. Like, I wish I had it. A lot of people, it comes natural. I got to work for mine. So trick-wise, a basic beginner, easy trick. I'd say on ramp, it would be on a half pipe, it would be a nice little kick turn where you just lift up the front truck and it gradually slides down and you kind of roll with it. That's a kick turn. Those feel really good. And they're, I still do them every day. Kick turns are cool, nice, easing yourself into a nice cool trick to be a kick turn. It's a good beginner one on ramp. On street, I don't know, man. I'd say it's like a little wheelie, like a little manual. They're called manuals in skateboarding, but people hit little wheelies first. Yeah. Ollies, like your first, when you get your ollies down, that's like your first real trick, because that's the building block for everything is an ollie. So I'd say just a little wheelies is like the first, like easygoing trick, and they're fun. People still do manuals, all the time. Even you still got to do wheelies. But okay, hard tricks. Damn. Tricks is complicated these days, man. Like, you can do that kid Taryn I was talking about.
Yeah.
There's two basic flips. Wow, I never even thought of it like that. But there's two basic flips. One is a kick flip and one is a heel flip. And then you take just variations from that. But what Taryn does a lot of is he does shove it towards you. So it's backside shove it. It's kind of like called an inward. He does a lot of inward heel flips, which are fucking bonkers, man. He does like 360 inward heel flip all the time. We just did this 98 Rock show. The 98 Rock pre-Olympic show was us and Justin from 98 Rock, who skates. And he came to the park and we filmed a bunch of tricks and stuff with him. But like, Taryn does a 360 inward heel on TV. He did it on TV. It was insane, because that's like a trick where you go out with your homie and you're like, you get the camera set up and it's going to be a battle. It's going to be like 100 tries and you killing yourself. And he did it in like 2 minutes with the 98 Rock filming crew who don't know what they're doing, don't know 100% how to film skateboarding. If you film anything good with a TV crew, you're killing it, because they don't know what they're doing. It's so tough to film with those guys. He did a 360 inward heel down this big ledge that we have in the park with those guys, which is like super uber bonus points. Like, I don't know, he's sick. That's sick. Like a 360 inward heel, something like that. I mean, he does like Taryn, Tough Johnny. You want to see a difficult trick? Just look up Tough Johnny on Instagram. That guy does nothing but technical, difficult body breaking stuff that he just does on a daily. He just goes and gets it. And he dances all the time on his channel too, which is cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he just steps up and gets it. That one, on a ramp, it's different. So it might not be super crazy technical. I tell you, for me, when I was filming, so when I turned 45, I filmed a video of 45 tricks at 45 years old. Yeah. And every one of the tricks that I did, I tried not to do something that was like basic or that I've really done before. So I'd say half of those tricks was getting tough, because 45 tricks was tough to come up with, period. But like, not that I mean, I guess I'm over the hill, but I don't feel over the hill. So like, like doing them tricks, some of them was tough. So I did do something that I've never seen. I did like 5 things that I've never seen anybody do before. But for me, I think my personal favorite in that was, and I had broken a rib during it. Oh. And one of my ribs was pushing into my lungs. So it like made like crazy asthma type symptoms for me. I could barely breathe while I was doing this video, but I finished it. I did a feeble grind to board slide, popped it back up to 5-0 grind to fakie. For me, that was my highlight. and it goes by like in like half a second. I can barely even see it. It's so quick. but it took me like 2 weeks and hours of my son filming me, just being cool as shit, like helping me out, trying to get it done. So yeah, that for me was one of my hardest. But it's all relative to the person. You got people like Tony Hawk, or his hardest and my hardest are two different things.
And that's what brings me to my final question. Actually, what is harder? That trick that you just described, which sounds super complicated, even with the conditions that you were describing. What's harder, that trick or running the skate park? From putting on those two hats, like being a dude that's a skater, but also a dude that's running like a business, a skate park. What's harder for you?
Skateboarding is an art, and it's how we express our artistic expression.
Yes.
Mine was big gaps and a lot of grinds. I was an angry kid and had to work all that out, and years of therapy later and all that kind of stuff. My skateboarding isn't so angry anymore. It's just now it's like the combinations of putting stuff together. The way I run the business is kind of the same way now. It's like I like the puzzle of like putting things together. So think house, right? How he was always trying to solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
I do that every day. I just don't get the house clout, so I have puzzles every day to solve. And even when I'm like editing video or like building ramps for people or paying my taxes or, like basic, just sitting behind the counter helping people. When people walk in, like I said, we try to immediately scope out exactly what fits them perfect and what they need. And, everything is a puzzle. I love the puzzles a lot. It's really fun. So I don't even, like you said, what's harder, running a bit, like working a business? It's honestly not work for me. Oh, plus I count my lucky stars every day because this has been like a dream. So I'm just so excited that I get to do this every day. Going through a pandemic when you don't know what's going to happen, like, just makes me appreciate it that much more. I love my kids all work at the park. My daughter works there. My son works there. My baby daughter would come with us. I mean, she would be using she's 11, mm-hmm. and I would be putting the tracks down on a deck of a mini ramp. And the dude who we were building it for came over and was like, "Is she using that drill? Like she's a baby. What is she doing? Like, she can put the tracks in with me." She was amazing, So like all that, and like having my kids around all the time, and like honestly, the Charm City is a joy, and just sharing that with everybody, and that's how we operate. It's all just love for the city, love for everybody who walks through the door, love for the art of skateboarding, love for the opportunity to do stuff like this, like share a message with people and hear, your story working with the Orioles and, what you do. And I can hear you talking about the technicality of running a podcast and stuff. Like, I feel you, dude. I love that. I love that. I love like, electronics and equipment, and like how I could geek out and tell you exactly, how skateboarding editing has changed from, people using Final Cut and Canon GL1s to all the way in VX, and I have 1,000 mini DV tapes that I just bought a mini DV VCR so I can finally start uploading some of them to YouTube, because it's been so long for some of that footage. It's just priceless. And like, crazy stuff like that. This world is awesome. I love every bit of it. So like, stoked. Good on you. Good on Baltimore. Love this place.
Oh yeah. So, and thank you for that. So the last request that I have for you is we wrap up here, and shameless plugs, your website, Instagram, all of that good stuff. Tell people where to find you to learn more about the skate park and maybe book some time.
Yeah. So if you go to charmcity.tv, that's our website. And if you, check it out, there's like pictures of some of the ramps we build, and, you can book a birthday party or set up a lesson or whatever, or just come through the park if you have any questions at all that you want answered about skateboarding or anything like that. We're all about helping people out. And of course, we do try to post daily on our Instagram. which is, I think it's just Charm City Skatepark.
Yes.
Yeah. So everything's on there. I post all kinds of stuff on there. Usually, like, even if it's not my event, I'll put other people's events up there too, just to let you know what's going on in skateboarding. In Baltimore or, DMV. There's a lot of stuff going on the East Coast. We always try to hook everybody up.
Absolutely.
So that's it. Instagram, and I don't really do mess with Facebook too much. Try not to. So it's pretty much just Instagram and our website, or give us a call.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Jason. This has been great. It's been great. We were able to get it. We got it. So
third time.
It's a charm. So for Jason Chapman of Charm City Skatepark, I'm Rob Lee saying there's art in and around Baltimore. You just got to look for it.